On the 23rd of May 1949, a new nation emerged out of the ruins of the old, the Federal Republic of Germany, known colloquially as, of course, West Germany. It was founded from the British, United States, and French occupation zones that had been formed in 1945 after the surrender of Nazi Germany. The new country was on the very front line of the Cold War, bordering communist East Germany and the Warsaw Pact, yet it had no armed forces of its own and was completely reliant upon British, US, and French troops for its defense. It was considered too early to allow the Germans to rearm after the recent memories of World War II, and yet West Germany was under threat. In 1948, the year before the formation of the Federal Republic, Stalin, the leader of the Soviet Union, had tried to remove the Allied occupation zones from Berlin, Hitler's former capital that sat deep inside East Germany. He did this by illegally severing West Berlin's road and rail links with the West German occupation zones, in an effort to starve the West Berlin population into submission and force the Allies to give up their occupation zones in the city. But Stalin had misjudged the determination of the Western Allies to resist his plans, and the Western Allies had enacted the Berlin Airlift, which lasted 323 days until the 12th of May 1949, when mostly US and British military and civil planes had kept the cities supplied by air, delivering 2.3 million tons of vital supplies in over 278,000 individual flights. Stalin had given up and reopened the communication corridors. But the Berlin Airlift and the massing of Soviet forces in East Germany seriously concerned many German World War II veterans who believed the new West German nation faced an existential threat from the Warsaw Pact and needed its own armed forces to help resist a possible Soviet or East German attack west. The only armed force that Germany had in 1949 were lightly armed local police forces, which the Allies had allowed the West Germans to set up. However, in 2014 it emerged from the archives of the German intelligence service, the BND, that a secret army had been created in West Germany, an army the Allied occupation forces knew nothing about, and which was also kept from new West German Chancellor Konrad Adenauer. Its name was the Schnetztruppe, named for its creator, Albert Schnetz. Born in 1911, Schnetz had served in the army in World War II, reaching the rank of colonel in the 25th Panzergrenadier Division, and had been awarded the German Cross in Gold in 1944. Serving in Italy, Schnetz was the senior transportation officer to Field Marshal Albert Kesselring's Mediterranean Theater headquarters. After the war, Schnetz traded in timber, textiles, and household goods in the Stuttgart area, and was a central figure in an organization of veterans of the 25th Panzergrenadier Division. The former officers and men met frequently, and their chats often turned to the parlous state of West Germany's defenses, particularly as the US and British gradually reduced the numbers of soldiers they had in West Germany, as demobilizations of troops and global commitments stretched their resources. Schnetz and some other veteran officers conceived of a plan to form a secret army composed of battle-hardened German war veterans that could fight behind enemy lines in the event of a Warsaw Pact invasion of the West, later morphing into providing proper divisions for military service in times of emergency. By 1950, Schnetz and his friends began to solicit financial assistance from donors and to organize a national network of experienced officers who in turn would organize and command the secret army units, while finding transport companies owned by sympathetic World War II veterans who could provide the army with vehicles in the event of an emergency. The question of weapons was of course paramount, but was solved when the Western Allies permitted West Germany to form a 10,000-man unit called the Bereitschaftspolizei, or Readiness Police, basically a gendarmerie-style heavy police unit, well armed enough to deal with internal threats and riots, and armed with World War II-era German infantry weapons and some US vehicles. At the same time, a gendarmerie-style border service, the Bundesgrenzschutz, was also formed, with over 20,000 men under arms, again using a mixture of World War II German infantry weapons and US vehicles, including armored cars. Among the many former World War II generals that helped form the Schnetztruppe was General Anton Grasser, former commanding officer of the 25th Panzergrenadier Division, who held the Knight's Cross with oak leaves, and who was appointed by West Germany the new Inspector General of the Police and the Bundesgrenzschutz. In the case of mobilization of the Schnetztruppe, Grasser would allow the secret army access to Bundesgrenzschutz weapons and vehicles. The plan was to organize 4 divisions for immediate activation in time of war with the Warsaw Pact. Commanding the new forces Staff Corps, based in Stuttgart, was former General Rudolf von Bühnau, a holder of the Knight's Cross with oak leaves, and former commander of the 11th Army Corps in 1945. Subunits of veterans were created at Ulm, here commanded by former Generalleutnant Hans Wagner, Knight's Cross holder and latterly commanding officer of the 269th Infantry Division. In Heilbronn, the subunit was secretly commanded by former Wehrmacht Generalleutnant Alfred Reinhardt, while in Karlsruhe, the secret army unit was under the command of Generalmajor Werner Kampfhenkel, with the unit at Freiburg under Generalmajor Wilhelm Nagel, who had commanded the 78th Volksgrenadier Division at war's end. Each of these veteran generals had sufficient veteran officers to form divisional staffs, in total some 2,000 former Wehrmacht officers secretly serving. From this, junior officers and men were recruited from among the millions of World War II veterans, for an eventual force of some 40,000 trusted men, all highly experienced combat veterans. Schnetz approached the Gehlen organization, West Germany's intelligence network that was actually run by General Reinhard Gehlen, one of Hitler's old spy masters. In 1951, some secret links were forged between Gehlen and Schnetz, who maintained friendly relations. Schnetz had also reached out to Hitler's old commando leader, SS Obersturmbannführer Otto Skorzeny, but it is currently unclear the nature of Skorzeny and other SS veterans' links to Schnetztruppe. Chancellor Adenauer was informed, but though the activities of Schnetz and his friends were illegal, he took a careful line with them, not wishing to upset German veterans groups. Schnetz even received some secret funding through backdoor channels. Adenauer, however, was also pushing the US and British to permit West Germany to raise a proper legal army to aid in the nation's defense, and in 1955 the first batch of volunteers was sworn into the new West German armed forces, the Bundeswehr. Interestingly, many of those who had been deeply involved with the secret Schnetztruppe found employment in the new German army, which would need experienced leaders. Schnetz himself ended up a Generalleutnant in the Bundeswehr and in 1968 was appointed Inspector of the Army. He retired in 1978 and never discussed the secret army he created in 1949-50, dying in 2007 at the age of 95. Many thanks for watching. Please subscribe and share, and also visit my audiobook channel, War Stories with Mark Felton. You can also help to support both of my channels at PayPal and Patreon. Details in the description box below.